Jumbo Scampi. For limited...
All for a price that will make you...
How the hell am I supposed to pee?
You're listening to BAMF, UK Comic Book Radio.
Hello everyone, welcome to BAMF Comic Book Radio, your number one comic podcast, where you can find news, reviews and odd points of views. I am your host, Bert Kempson, and with me today is Fee, and only Fee. Hello Fee.
Hello. So just the two of us again this week.
It's that time of the month, not that one, but the other time of the month where we do a special.
Yeah, just me and you.
Yeah, this is the half-death Uber special with loads of good stuff to talk about. And I think we should jump straight in and talk about it all.
Yep. This week, news. The news is that there isn't any news.
Yeah, no news.
No news. Nothing's happened this week. So yeah, don't really have anything to tell our lovely listeners. But the good thing about that is that we have so many good comics to talk about this week that we can just jump right in there and start talking about what we've been reading, because there's loads. This has been the best week for me that I can think of in a really long time. So many good books this week. So what shall we start with?
Well, I want to go alphabetical for a minute and start with All New X-Men.
Okay.
Alright, we both read All New X-Men, right?
Yep.
Okay, and I wanted to say that this, I think, was one of the best issues so far. It was a talky issue, it was all talking and loads of setup. But having the line, like they was talking, it recapped some of the stuff from Uncanny Avengers where Havoc was talking about the M-word and what the M-word means.
Yeah.
And the younger team's response to this. And it has the best line in the world, where Iceman simply says that any word can be used as a bad way. I can't even say the word. As long as it's said right. And then in response to this, he says, pepperoni.
Yeah.
I actually laughed on the bus.
That did make me laugh. I've got to say that sort of links into one thing I really liked about this book was, there's some really nice characterization in the book this week, and, particularly Bobby. People would have heard me complain about this numerous times, like about Bobby fading into the background in recent years. Like he really hasn't been used, to his full potential. Yeah. But, Marjorie Liu is using him at the moment in Astonishing X-Men, which is nice to see. And it was really nice to sort of see him here being Bobby, because he does come out with those sort of like, wisecracks and one-liners and stuff.
Yeah, he's the Spider-Man of the team where he'll come in from the background. Yeah.
And this is old school Bobby, isn't it, that we're seeing here?
Yeah.
A few years ago. And I thought Bendis actually had a really nice handle on that version of Bobby. And this is, I want to see more of this Bobby. I want to see Bobby doing things, rather than just being in the background, because I think he's a really great character.
I'm liking all these old school versions and how they're reacting to find out all the new stuff in the world. Like they found out in previous issue about House of M and the No More Mutants, and they're finding out in this one about Alex and his team, and they've all discovered now that Scott has a brother. Of course, the period they're from, Scott didn't get reunited with his brother yet. And each of them had their own unique voice and their own... I was worried at first that they were just going to get like really boring and really stale and just one note. But they're all so... I'm even liking Scott Summers. I think young Scott Summers is the breakthrough character in this book.
Yeah. Well, this was before Scott became a complete and utter dick, let's face it. So, it's kind of nice to see him before he was turned into a villain, right? Well, not a villain, I guess, but you know what I mean, before he sort of...
An extremist.
Yeah, that's why he started going down that road.
And, to stick back with the story, the subplot of Mystique is getting really bloody good. We finally find out what Mystique's plot is, why she's got Sabretooth and Lady Mastermind on her side, and why she's stealing all this money. And the plan is to buy Madripoor from Hydra. And for those who don't know, Madripoor is like the island where every crime, family and corporation comes to do business. It's like the most seediest, disgusting place in the world, and everyone goes there. Wolverine goes there regularly, apparently. And Mystique wants to buy it. While all the X-Men are fighting and all the heroes are fighting and doing their thing, she's decided that she's just going to steal all the money in the world from everyone and buy an island, as you do. Which then led into the final part of the cliffhanger, where Lady Mastermind, using an illusion of her dad, the original Mastermind, unleashes the Phoenix Force in young Jean Grey. Which actually shocked me. I don't know about you, Fee, but this kind of shocked me that they're using the Phoenix Force, especially after the most recent use of it in AVX.
Yeah, well, I was kind of surprised to see that, but then I don't know whether this is part of the illusion that Lady Mastermind is conjuring up. Do you see?
I never thought of that.
Yeah, or whether it really is the Phoenix Force, because from the time period that this is from, Jean Grey hasn't encountered the Phoenix Force at all, has she?
No, but wasn't it retcon that it was always there?
Yeah, you might be right, actually. I think it was.
And it was only when she met Mastermind for the first time it was unleashed.
It was unleashed. But, yeah, I suppose we'll have to wait and see whether
it is interesting that they're going to use it this soon after the massive use of it in AVX and the destruction of it, the current destruction of it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was with you. I just think this book is really picking up. I'm really enjoying it. It's really good.
And the art, was this one Stuart Immonen art? Immonen, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
This art, even when the fill-in art is on there, it's so bloody beautiful.
Yeah, and with the inker who has the best name in the entire world, Wade von Grawbadger. It's the inker. Best name ever.
Say that again?
But the inker's name is Wade von Grawbadger.
He has Badger in his name.
Yeah.
That's the best name. That's the best name in the world. Wade von Grawbadger.
Very good.
And I thought my name was good. Okay, right, okay. Fee, while we're on the X-Men, tell us about Uncanny X-Men.
Uncanny X-Men this week. This is quite an interesting issue, Uncanny X-Men this week. I've got to say, up till now, Uncanny has been the... Uncanny and All New X-Men, for me, All New X-Men has sort of edged it a little bit. Uncanny's been okay, but it hasn't really sort of grown into what I think it's, what it's going to become eventually, I don't think. I really kind of enjoyed this issue though. This is this issue focuses on magic, and what happened to her. In the last couple of issues, we've seen her, her and the X-Men were transported to Limbo. So obviously we know that Magic's powers are all sort of tied up with Limbo and everything. And we see her facing off with the other X-Men, Emma and Scott, and some of the new kids, some of the new mutants that they've discovered. And they all end up in Limbo, and there's some fight or confrontation going on with Dormammu, who's a demon from Limbo. And so this week Magic goes to see Doctor Strange, because Doctor Strange has dealings with Dormammu from in the past. So she goes to see him because she needs his help. We then at the end of the book find out that this is Doctor Strange from another time, and he doesn't actually know Magic at this point. So, but he agrees that he will help her. But for me, actually, the standout sort of thing about this issue was the art, which I just thought was really lovely. The first page, for example, is a 4-panel, split down into 4 panels, with Magic talking, and it's focused on her, and all you see is her hair, the blonde hair, and you see her face completely in silhouette, so you can't see any facial features at all, you just see her face is black, and it's really, really, really effective. I really enjoyed it. The art is by Fraser Irving. I'm sure I've probably seen his art before, but it's not a name that stands out to me that I'm massively familiar with. But yeah, really beautiful art. And special mention goes to Panel of the Week from Uncanny X-Men 7. Is because there's a fantastic panel, 2 panels next to each other. One panel of Scott Summers just saying no, and then the panel next to it is him getting hit on the head with a ball, which I loved. Anything, Scott Summers getting hit on the head is a good thing.
It's a nice break in all the magical, blasty magic.
Yeah. But it was good. It was a good book. I enjoyed it. I thought it was very well done. But yeah, lovely art. Check it out.
Okay. You choose the next book, but then I did just remember that there is a third X-Men book that came out that I think's a big talk. This is X-Men week. It seems like it's X-Men week. Yeah,
there's a lot of X books out this week. X-Men 2, are you talking about?
That is the one. That's the one I was talking about.
I really followed on from a really strong start with X-Men 1, which we spoke about on the show when the first issue came out.
Yeah.
Again, for me, this was a really nice issue. It was really strong. I really liked it. I thought we get to see a bit more, obviously following on from the first issue. Sorry, I'm just trying to find it because I'm actually trying to flick through it.
Well, I've got it here, and while you're fine, I'll quickly give my initial things. I feel like there's a lot more action in this issue. Last issue we did have the really nice train sequence, but this one there was a nice confrontation between the new villain and the ex-ladies, and Beast was thrown in there. I think he's a glorified ex-lady.
Yeah.
Beautiful art. This week, X-Men's just, I think, got it for the art. Oliver Coipel again. But better characterizations. This issue, Kitty wasn't saying OMG and weird girly things. She actually was taking charge, and she was showing the intelligence. No one really touches upon her that she's actually a genius. And it mentions that, she's rewriting code and breaking into a system that shut her out and trying to beat this computer. And then she does just phase through it in the end, but it's still really beautiful issue, and a really nice moment between Jubilee and this Sublime guy who I really can't remember. I know he's from a story I've read, but I can't remember. I think it was pre-Civil War I read a story of him in. Really, again, I think this one actually, I think if I had to choose, this one would be the book that I would say is the best one. Best because there's a lot more characters in it that I'm more biased towards, like Mohawk Storm.
Yeah, and Jubilee, it's really nice to see Jubilee again, sort of, is she still a vampire?
I don't know.
Because during this, I dropped the last X-Men run, the last comic that had the title X-Men, I dropped, shortly after she became a vampire, and I never stuck that through to the end of the run, so I wasn't sure whether she still is or not, because she doesn't seem to be
a vampire. She's in the daylight, she's got no fangs, she's got normal pinkish skin instead of pale. And the last thing I saw, Storm was trying to kill her. I don't know what's happened since.
No, so I think maybe our lovely listeners could fill us in.
I was just about to say.
Yeah, and let us know. But it's nice seeing her interacting with the baby, because she was always the baby of the X-Men, and was rescued and sort of looked after, and now she's sort of like taking that and transferring it to the baby, and which she sort of obviously sees a bit of herself in the situation. And is bringing a bit of that to it, but it's great. It's a really, really nice characterisation with Jubilee in this, I think.
Sublime says it that the X-Men, was always a family, and this book does touch upon that whole family sense. This story to me is like a bunch of sisters trying to fix something.
Yeah, and it really feels like an X-Men book. It feels like an old school X-Men book in the best kind of sense. You know, all the good things that I can think of from X-Men books of the past. This book has them. I really like it. There's one you were saying about the art. I really love the art as well. And there's a particular panel. Coipel really draws a lovely rogue. Really, really nice. I like his rogue a lot. So yeah, definitely recommend X-Men.
I'd even go as far as saying, as I said, if you're going to pick one book, maybe stretch it to this one. I think for me, it outbeats All New, and that's a big beat if you can do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and when it's only 2 issues in, so...
Easy catch up.
Yeah, definitely.
Alright, Fee, you decide what is next, because we have lots of good stuff.
Oh God, there's just so many. There's so many. Okay, I'm just going to talk, just because we're still on X-Men, I'm just going to talk a little bit about Uncanny X-Force.
Right.
Did you pick this one up this week?
I didn't, and I think, as I say this, Dan is maybe holding his head because it's Alfona's art, and he loves Alfona. Yeah,
and it's, again, we could, X-Books with the art, knocking it out this week. Really, really, really good stuff. Really nice stuff from Adrian Alfona, really nice. I know some people have been a little bit sort of, missed with this book. But I loved Remender's Uncanny X-Force run, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. I truly think it's one of the greatest runs in modern comics. And if you haven't read it, you really need to do yourself a favour and read it, the whole thing from start to finish. It's absolutely fantastic, and one of the greatest things I have read in, the last God knows how many years. It is absolutely fantastic. So when it ended, and this series was relaunched with Marvel Now with Sam Humphries, it was always going to be a hard act to follow with Remender's run on the previous sort of incarnation of the series. And a lot of people have been a bit sort of dismissive of it, but I think it's been okay. And actually I think it's obviously building towards something. And I like that when each issue you get something that drops a little more of the story into place. And this is definitely one of those series that is doing that kind of thing. I love Phantom X. Phantom X is, in my top 10 characters of all time. So I'm really interested in what's happening with him. So for anybody who doesn't know, in Remender's Uncanny X-Force, Phantom X has 3 brains, and his 3 brains got split into 3 different bodies. So there are now 3 different versions of Phantom X in existence. So you have Phantom X himself, and you have Cluster, who's the female side, and then you have Weapon 13, who's like Dark Phantom X, who's like the dark side, taking all of the dark elements of the character. And this issue, number 7, focuses on those 3 versions of Phantom X and Psylocke, who is mixed up with all of them because her and Phantom X were having some kind of a relationship, which we've since discovered in the last few issues that relationship had ended because Phantom X seems to be having I think it was Dan actually who described it as the most elaborate wank of all time. He's having a relationship with Cluster, who's the female version of himself. I actually find that I'm really intrigued by this. I just find the whole idea really fascinating.
So let me quickly ask you, she broke up with him because of this relationship with himself?
Yeah, we think so. This is what we've sort of been led to believe. So this issue, number 7, actually flashes back. So we're now getting a bit more fill-in from the story, because the Uncanny X-Force 1 launches us straight in, and we find that Psylocke and Phantom X are no longer together, and Phantom X is with Cluster, the female version of himself. But we don't really know the circumstances behind that or why that has happened. So this issue, number 7, is actually flashing back to the events that took place after Remender's run ends, and before this new run begins. So we're now getting a few flashbacks and filling in some background. And it's really interesting, where you find out that the different parts of Phantom X have got all these different personality traits. And actually, whereas Psylocke thinks that she's in love with the Phantom X that's sort of, you know, been left behind, she actually discovers later in the issue that it's Cluster who has all of the elements of Phantom X that she was actually in love with.
Oh, snap. That is weird. What?
So it's sort of like definitely a bit of a head fuck.
So this is a love triangle between a man, himself, and the woman he used to... What?
Yeah. But it's brilliant. I think it's great. I'm really interested in this. I'm really interested to see where this is going. It's, you know, it's a very complicated idea, but it's very clever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at the end of this issue, after Psylocke finds out that it's actually Cluster, the female version of Phantom X, that has all of the personality traits that she was actually in love with, we come back to the present, and Dark Phantom X, or Weapon 13, has actually kidnapped Betsy, Psylocke, and is now declaring his love to her. So we have that.
Oh my lord.
Yeah. So it's all very complicated, but it's brilliant.
That is a lot of Phantom X sexing. Jesus Christ. What the oh. Yeah.
So, but I loved it. Can't wait for the next issue. I thought it was really good. Really good.
Wow. Yeah, I might have to pick it up.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, I'm going to quickly break it up just so it doesn't seem like a Marvel-centric week. I'm going to break it up and talk about Superman Batman, a big number one issue that came from DC this week, and it is it's the second Superman title to be released after Man of Steel, and I'm just going to say I loved it. It was really bloody good.
Yeah, no, I some people may be surprised to hear that I even picked this up in the first place, knowing my usual aversion to most things DC. But I was intrigued by this because obviously it's the two top DC characters, and then off of the back of Man of Steel and everything. I did pick up Superman Unchained, which was out, when was it, last week or the week before?
What did you think of that?
I actually haven't read that yet.
Okay, right, okay.
Because I hadn't heard like massively positive feedback from it.
Right.
So I will get around to reading it, but yeah, I haven't read it just yet. But this one, I picked up, and I actually have to say, it was just, even looking at the front cover, I thought, you know, I really like the front cover. I think it's a lovely front cover. I had a quick flick through it, and Jay Lee's art is lovely.
Astonishing.
Yeah, it's just beautiful. And that hooked me right in. And, like you, I loved it. I thought it was really good. This may end up being an actual DC book that I pick up on a regular basis.
I don't think we're actually the only ones. Real quick, Greg Pak, the writer, he's famous for doing Planet Hulk, World War Hulk, and some really good stuff with Incredible Hercules. He, within the first week of this book, I don't know if it was pre-planned or because of the sales on this book, but he has now got the writer's gig of Action Comics as well.
Yeah.
So, like, within the same week of this book being, like, really good reviews, really great, now he's, like, on the Superman title. Action Comics is, like, the Superman title to be writing for, you know? Which is, I can see why. I could really see why. This book, the art and the writing was so well done, and I love that it wasn't just Batman and Superman, it was Bruce and Clark.
Yeah. Yeah, I really loved that at the beginning. So there's a moment where we see some guy sitting on a bench watching some kids playing. Not playing, they're kind of beating each other up,
Fighting,
aren't they?
yeah.
Fighting, and then Clark arrives to break the fight up. And then it turns out that this guy sitting on the bench is Bruce Wayne. And when I saw it, I would never, because of the way that he's dressed, I was like, oh, I didn't realise it was Bruce.
He was doing his classic disguise to go around Gotham.
But it was these pages here, I just have to talk about these here, where the ones that take place in the park or wherever they are, where they're fighting. And in the background there are like these dead trees, like black tree branches.
It looked like a haunted forest.
Yeah, it's like something out of a Tim Burton film. Mm-hmm. It's the closest way I can sort of get to describe it.
It was gothic and old.
But it's beautiful. It just works so beautifully, really amazing, and just something so simple happening in the background, but gives you so much, to look at and to place the events that are taking place. I thought it was really good. There was a moment later on in the book where Batman arrives to stop Catwoman from being Catwoman. And then Superman turns up and he's wearing jeans and shoes and socks.
Work boots. Work boots.
Which I was slightly alarmed at.
I like it.
Well, then you reminded me that with the launch of the New 52, this was... I do remember seeing some images of him wearing this costume when the New 52 launched. But you told me that this was supposed to be the first costume that he... Yeah,
it was before he discovered the Kryptonian armour. It's all explained in Grant Morrison's Action Comics. Before he gets the armour, all he's got that is Kryptonian is his blanket, which he turns into his cape. And so there's actually an issue where he goes to a t-shirt manufacturer with his S symbol and says, I would like so many of these in blue. And then the man even goes, there's a couple of issues where he's wearing red. And I think people was like, why is he wearing a red t-shirt? This doesn't make sense. And in the following issue, it's actually explained that he couldn't get a certain amount in blue. So he ended up getting a deal where he could get some in red. It was the weirdest issue because it was just basically Superman doing some shopping. There was no punching. It was Superman doing shopping for his costume.
I may have to read that now.
It was weird.
Yeah. So then we find out sort of at the end of the book that it's, we're not quite sure what's going on, but something is...
Seems like a time travel-y magic story.
Out of time, place, something funny's going on.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at it now and honestly, this art...
It is such a beautiful book. I'm going to quickly just elaborate some more on the art. There's actually the full page of Gotham when you first see Clark walking into Gotham, and I love how it is basically a Gothic city but with modern city injected inside it. So you've got like neon lights and billboards and stuff, but around it is a massive Gotham haunted looking, almost dead like city. And I also love how JD, I don't know who coloured it, but he had it so Clark Kent was literally the brightest thing in the city. Mm-hmm. He almost glue. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Even when he was Clark Kent, with the red, and he just glue. Everyone else was green, dingy and like dirty. Even Bruce Wayne, when he was in disguise, was all dirty looking, but he wasn't. He was there and he glued just standing there. It was really bloody good. And again, the writing, there was so many good moments. DC have a thing lately for everyone flipping the bird, as everyone calls it, the middle finger at Superman. This little kid flipped a finger at Superman. Batman flipped a middle finger a couple of weeks ago. Everyone's doing it in DC, guys. It's cool. It's cool because DC do it. But there's so many good moments. I love the fight scene between Batman and Superman. It wasn't really a fight scene. It was a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
And they was analysing each other. Like, Batman was like pointing out how he's smiling. Superman was almost like as if he was smiling, enjoying it. And, Superman was like analysing Batman, how he's like precise and his heartbeat is calm compared to the people around him whose heartbeats are going mental. It was just such a really cool, I don't think I've ever seen it before, where it was almost like in their minds they were staring each other down, not staring each other down, but like just comparing like to each other, but not to each other. I don't know, I'm wording it all wrong. But read the issue and it's bloody good.
Yeah, really great, really good. And, you know, has to be good if I've decided to add a DC title to my...
Exactly. It's got Fee's mark of approval and it's a DC book.
Yeah, that says everything you need to know. Pick it up.
Also, even Dan, who even said in his own words, they're just the two least appealing characters to him, when this is quite good.
Yeah.
And that's bloody brilliant. That's quite good is an award. Right, okay. And this is going to be mostly a Marvel episode, apart from our mystery comics later. But now we're going to jump straight back into Marvel because there's 3 books that I enjoyed the most out of all of them, Fee.
Yeah.
And I think you might know 3 of them actually.
Yeah.
I'm going to start because there's 2 I want to talk about lots, but this one, was the Age of Ultron 10 AI. Fee, did you read it?
I did indeed, yeah. So this is the issue that focuses on Hank Pym.
Yes. My man.
Yeah, in your favourite, you know.
My boy, he's my boy.
You love Hank Pym. So
the whole Pym family.
Yeah, but this, I mean, right, the one thing I'm going to say, but just before we talk about it a bit more, the one thing I said about it before is, so this is a strange book. It bridges sort of, so it comes after Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
It doesn't really fit exactly in the events of what happened in Age of Ultron.
Nope.
But it's also a bridge, like a prologue to
Avengers AI.
Yeah, which coming, when is this, in a couple months?
Yeah, I do think it's next month, like, I think it's actually July, first week or second week. I actually said that this doesn't feel like it should have had the title Age of Ultron. I can see where they're trying to bridge the gap and whatnot, but it just doesn't fit. It could have just been a one shot, could have just been it could have actually been the 0 issue or the issue 1 to Avengers AI.
Yeah, which in effect it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but why they decided to title it, you know, Age of Ultron 10 IO, I'm not really sure, but yeah.
Right, and so we're going to give it the teams. The team is Mark Waid writing, and I'm going to try and get the artist real quick because I've just gone away from that page like an idiot that I am. Right. Oh my god, I'm not going to be able to say his last name. Or first name.
It's Andre Lima I can't say it either. Araujo,
yes. That's it.
Something like that. Apologies.
It's really good art, basically. It's beautiful art. Again, this week, it's just art this week. But, right, this issue is a really simple issue. It's kind of like a origin story / recap of Hank Pym and his life. It starts off with him sitting shrunken down in an, hallway in his lab, whatever. And then it shows the next panel. It says that he's talking to himself about him being like mentally unstable and all this, and his friends always think he's going to lose it. The next page, he's lost it, he's holding his head, and shattered around him, kind of in a similar style to the shatter effects that was in Age of Ultron, is bits of his life and past events. But anyway, so it recaps that Hank Pym was always this kid genius. There's some really funny moments in this where in the first sort of bit of this flashback, he turns himself blue as a kid.
Yeah.
He's in the bath and he's smart. He's seen some aliens on TV, so he then decides to put some dye in the bath and turn himself blue. And the whole issue is him telling the story how he's had 2 influences in his life. He's had his parents who were kind, loving parents, but they were very realistic. They was like, sort of apply yourself to be, think of something useful. Like, if you're going to use your intelligence, use it to be useful and, work, essentially, And then he had his nan, who was a creative writer. She's done like science fiction, and she always wanted him to express himself and live in the clouds and use his genius to come up with fun things and use that side, the creative side. So we see him growing up. He'll build a typewriter like that can write in 17 different colours, and then he's built something for his dad, and his dad shouts at him for not building something useful like a carburetor or whatever. And it's just really sort of a bit tragic in parts where he like loses his nan, and as he grows up, he's the part of him that is restricted and realistic gets drummed into him, and he's always grown up to be this do-gooder. He has to do what he's told. He's always has to do it because that's how the world works. And then one day he loses it, creates pin particles just because, and then he becomes Ant-Man. And that's when the recap starts of he beat Loki, he put on a costume, he built Ultron. It does hint at Age of Ultron and some weird stuff. And then it then goes into a modern day, I'm really rushing it, I don't know why. Goes into a modern day scene where he's become Giant Man and he stops a burglar, then he stops some more burglars, and he's just having fun again.
Yeah, he's just decided to become a hero again, hasn't he? He's decided to, you know, get back to doing which we haven't really seen him do much of.
For a long time.
A long time, yeah.
Well, the most recent, and this actually felt like it could have been a companion piece to it, the most recent was Mighty Avengers.
Yeah.
After Janet died, he had a similar sort of turn of events where he was like, right, I'm just going to get back to doing what I'm going to do, you know, for different reasons and a different goal. But it felt like that more, just going to have a bit of fun doing it and just help people and do what I can do. But this one, it felt a bit more refreshing. Like, it seems like a more genuine, like, right, I'm actually doing it, not in the name of something, not because I have to, it's because I want to. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And this issue, there's just bits, like, I love that whole scene with his nan and his parents where there is that back and forward. I'm pretty sure everyone in their life's had it. I mean, I know what I have. You've got the two, you've got to get a job and do the right thing, but then you've got the other side, like people influencing you, going, just do something you want to do, you know? And, I don't know, it was just a really nice issue. It was it cleaned the palette that was Age of Ultron, and it set up something fun. I think Avengers AI will be fun. I can't see it being anything, like, groundbreaking. I can't see it being like it's going to be Sam Humphries, I do believe.
Yep, it is, yep.
So, we're based on his love square of Phantom X clones and Psylocke. We know we're going to be getting fun.
Yeah. Might be
sorry, Fred, I took over there.
No, it's with you, Hank Pym, and you know.
I am Hank Pym.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be him in the movie.
We've been saying this for ages. # Bertie for Ant-Man.
Yeah. Edgar Wright, hint, hint.
But, yeah. It was, I enjoyed it. I always, I liked seeing Hank sort of decide to, become a hero again. It was nice to see. It was a nice lead into what's going to come with Avengers AI. I would definitely pick it up and give it a go. It'll be interesting.
It will be. It was just it wasn't anything great, but it was nice. And Mark Waid wrote it. And Mark Waid he actually cares the characters he writes. He finds the care inside them. He does it with Hulk, he does it with Daredevil, he done it with Flash, he done it with Kid Flash, he's done it with all through his writing. He knows these characters. And you can tell, Normally people always write Hank Pym as this depressive, man made of glass who's going to break any moment. Whereas a couple people like Dan Slott and like Mark Waid, they took him and went, no, he's actually quite a fun character, look what he can do.
Yeah. I think me and you have said this before, that, it is about time that writers stop punishing
Hank Pym
for what he did in the past.
Yeah.
And, if Janet can forgive him, and if the rest of his teammates can forgive him for things that he did when he wasn't actually himself, then I think that the writers and the readers can forgive him.
Yeah, and just to put examples on other characters, look what Daredevil did when he wasn't himself. Look what bloody Tony Stark did when he was himself, but he was sort of driven by other things. He built a clone of his best friend and ended up killing someone. And it's just, everyone's done stuff. But it seemed Hank Pym was the one that always got plagued by his past, where everyone else would move on to new stories.
Exactly. I look at what Wolverine does every single day. And
I know.
He's
always getting a new story.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's nice to see a fun character finally get more stories out of him. I'm happy to see it. Next, I want to see more She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Right, Fee, and now you're next. Go on, pick your book. Any book you want. I think I might know what you want to pick.
Okay. Right. Well, this is the book. We've had, sorry, forgive me. I'm so taken aback. It's so good. I can't speak. This is the book I've been waiting for such a long time for, because it's been delayed. It's just been, it was supposed to come out at the beginning of June, and then it got put back a week, and then it got put back another week. So I think we've been waiting 3 weeks for this to come out. Now, we always knew that this issue was going to be something a little bit different, probably a little bit special, because it's Fraction and Arja back on artwork. And this is the Pizza Dog issue. So for quite a long time now, Fraction's been telling us to that we were going to get this issue that was all told from the dog's point of view. And at first, I think maybe some people wondered whether he was kidding, but it sort of soon became apparent that he wasn't. We really were going to get this, and the more I kept hearing about it, the more I was getting excited for this, and so was everybody on Twitter. And I know that people just couldn't wait to see this book, and I'm so happy to say that it did not disappoint at all. It is a work of utter genius. It's amazing. I can't say enough good things about this book. I can't say enough good things about the series, full stop, as everybody knows, and anybody who listens to the show knows this already, and how much I talk about this book all the time. And this just does so many special things, this issue. It's just so clever from start to finish. So the whole issue is told from the point of view of Lucky, or Pizza Dog as we best know him. And it's what Arja has done is just so clever, that he's used pictograms to describe what Lucky can see, what Pizza Dog can see, and what he understands. So we as the reader have to decipher these pictograms, these little pictures and these symbols, in order to read the issue. There's very, very minimal dialogue. What Arja has decided to do was focus on the fact that the dog can only pick up certain words. So dog will understand sit or there or don't, or certain words here and there, but he won't understand speech, obviously, in the way that we understand speech. So what you've got with the lettering is just the odd word that the dog can pick out from the conversations that are being had, and then interspersed with these pictograms, so that we get an understanding of what the dog is actually seeing and what he's piecing together. And it's just, everything is just so beautifully done. It's so clever. So we see Lucky, who stumbles upon the murder of Grills, which took place 2 or 3 issues ago, and then he starts to get on the case, and he's picking up smells and putting things together and making all these clues, and it is just, I just can't. I mean, look, I'm speechless. It's that good. It's just so clever. Lots of things happen. There are so many. I think I must have read it now at least a dozen times. I must have been through it, and every single time I go through it, I pick up something else that I didn't notice before. After the first time I read it, I think it was you that said to me, "Do you think that guy that you see 2 of the tracksuit Draculas beating up is Barney Barton?" And then I was like, oh yeah, it is. It has to be. So you see 2 of the tracksuit Draculas stumble across some guy outside Clint's apartment building, and they're beating up on this guy, and Lucky arrives around the corner, and the tracksuit Draculas, because obviously Lucky belonged to them in the first place, so he recognises them, they recognise him. But when he sees the guy they're beating up, you get a little pictogram of his face, and then a kind of a little like equal symbol next to his symbol for Clint, and then a question mark. So you see Lucky piecing together perhaps that they are connected in some way. So then we as the reader are then left to make that connection. And, you know, the connection that we've come to is, as you said, this is probably Barney Barton. So that's fantastic. Just some other things that I just wanted to pick out from the symbols. So Lucky associates particular things with each of the characters. So when he sees Kate, he associates flowers and archery and coffee and pizza and kisses, you know, and wine or cocktails or whatever with Kate. And with Clint, he associates coffee, dog food and leather glove. I'm guessing that's something to do with archery. So he has all of these things that he associates with different people. And then I noticed later on in the book where Clint and Kate are getting ready to go out. We don't know why yet. I'm assuming we'll probably find out in a future issue, but they're getting to go out.
Yes.
Yeah, they're all dressed up. Where do you think they're going?
Well, based on the hearse in one of the diagrams, I guess it's Gil's funeral.
Oh yeah, of course it is. See, another thing.
The brilliant thing about this book is it goes through so much time, but you don't really notice it. It's kind of like your experience time as the dog feels it.
Yeah.
Where there is no genuine shift like between day and night and day 1 and day 10.
Yeah. I think the main reason I didn't think they were going to the funeral at first is because of the dress that Kate's wearing, because that really looks sort of like inappropriate.
Yeah, that's a bit tarty for a funeral. She's trying to impress.
But I mean, it's very nice, but yeah, maybe not one I would have associated with going to a funeral. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's because I hadn't looked at that symbol and actually thought that it was a hearse. I just looked at it and thought that it was a car. Now I'm looking at it again. Of course, I can see it's a hearse. But what the other things that I love there, like Clint's had a shave, because you can see there's a symbol for like a shaving brush and a razor, and Kate's wearing Chanel No. 5. Which I just thought was a really lovely little thing. But there's so much in it, despite there being practically no dialogue. There's just so much in this issue to read. And I was quite interested. I was talking to a friend of ours on Twitter, Sammy, she's probably listening, and she was saying she's dyslexic and can quite often find it a struggle, to read comics sometimes. And sometimes you'll have to go back through and read things more than once and try and put things together, the words with the pictures. And she can find it a bit of a struggle sometimes. But she was saying this made so much sense to her that, she just found it so rich and she got so much out of it because of the way that it's all put together and the use of the pictograms and the fact that there's sort of like very minimal dialogue, but there's still a lot of storytelling in it, which I thought was a really interesting thing to get out of it. And yeah, so we also find out that so there's a little dog that we've seen several times who belongs to one of the older ladies who lives in Clint's apartment block. And it now turns out that perhaps she's got some connection to these tracksuit Draculas, and to the clown. But we don't know exactly what the connection is yet. But again, I'm sure we'll find that out in a future issue.
Is it weird that this book, like, it's going to sound really weird, okay? This book hurts. Right, because there's so many like little threads here and there and little hints and little tips and whatever that you can pick up on, and that they're going to get touched upon eventually. But I want to get to them. I don't want this book to end, but I want the puzzle to be complete. Yeah. Like, I'm looking at things like, obviously time has passed and all this. There's the dramatic thing at the end where, big spoilers here, Kate and Clint part ways. Yeah. And Kate goes on a road trip across America from New York to California. And I want to know why. And I want to know what the old lady wants. And I want to know what Barney Barton's doing around. And I want to know when are they going to catch this guy, and when's Pizza Dog's baby's going to come, because it looks like he got it on with a dog next door or something. So Pizza Dog's getting some babies. And, when Pizza Dog looks at the suspect, the first time you see like the crime scene, there's a suspect, there's a bullet, there's a gun, there's a pair of lips, and then there's a question mark. And then when you see Kate for the first time, there's the same pair of lips and another question mark. So obviously there's a hint there that in the previous issue they had kissed and they were drinking together. So when's Clint going to find out that Kate had a confrontation with the killer, and just so much stuff.
Yeah. So she said we find out, so in the last page, well, it's not the last page, the penultimate page, where something happens, but we don't know what, and Clint and Kate part ways. And it was a real kicker. No. But I knew this was coming because I've read an interview with Fraction where he'd actually said that they were going to part ways at some point. And I think what's going to happen for the next few issues from now on is you're going to get one issue is going to be from the point of view of Clint, and David Arger is going to be doing the art on those issues. And then alternate issues are going to be told from the point of view of Kate, and are going to be I think Annie Wu who did some guest pages a few issues ago, and she's going to be doing Kate's issues. So this is a very interesting way to approach it, and I can't wait to, like you said, to fill in the gaps and find out exactly what's going on. But
I'm a big sucker for family stuff, so I can't wait to see what Barney Barton wants.
Yeah. Definitely. He looks like he's fallen on hard times, doesn't he? So you have to at the end of Clint's last solo mini-series, Clint was basically given all of Barney's money. So that's how he had all of the money in order to buy the apartment block in the first issue in Hawkeye #1. But Barney looks, if this is indeed Barney, which I'm pretty sure it is, looks like he's fallen on hard times. He's sort of dressed a bit like a down and out, and
he's a bum.
He's a bum, yeah. I love the fact that Fraction Arger's drawn him with a the kind of thing that you see in cartoons where he's got
with a stick and a bag tied to it.
Yeah.
I can't remember what I was going to say. Oh yeah, it makes me kind of wish that I read, or I want to go back and read Jeff Parker's Dark Avengers, where Barney Barton was a big part of, just to see if there is any kind of lead-in to what happened. Also, side note, the panel where Pizza Dog breaks up the fight between the tracksuit Draculas and Barney Barton, on the garage door, or the shop shutter, there's a clown symbol. Yes. Sorry, that was a side note. So the clown, it looks like the clown is going to make out as if he's been around for a while. Yeah. But I just can't wait to see what happens. It's such a good book. I can't recommend it enough to anyone. If you're just dive in. There's no need to be skeptic. There's no need to be like, oh, it's Hawkeye, I'm not a big fan of Hawkeye, I prefer Green Arrow, or there's not any, oh, I'm not sure. Just do it. It doesn't even feel like a mainstream book. It's so good. Yeah, it's amazing. Okay, so let's move on, although I could talk about Hawkeye for probably the rest of my life. Let's move on to the next thing, our last book, which is Young Avengers. Yes. So, what a book it was. Oh, again, another just outstanding book. Yet again, both art and story. I didn't realise this was a fill-in issue until literally last Wednesday when I bought it. The illustrator, where it said illustrated by, but the artist is Kate Brown, and writer still Kieran Gillen. And Kate Brown does such a good job. It feels like it does look a bit like a McKelvey art, but with her own unique spin. Like the bodies and the face shapes. There's a bit of McKelvey in there, in the face and the shade and whatever, but then her own spin, and you can even tell with the 2-page spread on the 5th page, maybe? I don't know what page number, of Speed doing all his work, like a month's worth of work in 5 minutes. And it's just so bloody great. There's little squares of him fiddling about with little things and doing screwdrivers, and then he snaps some coffee and then he goes back and does it again. Then he finishes his coffee and then he goes back and does it again. And then he walks out and he's done. So see you later, see you in whatever months. And yeah, just, this book is brilliant, and I love the two voices that Kieran Gillen writes in Speed and Prodigy.
Yeah.
That's Prodigy from the X-Men, the depowered X-Men, who's now basically a super genius. He writes these voices so really well. And I'm okay with them not interacting with the main team yet.
Yeah.
I like that kind of... I wouldn't mind them doing a Hawkeye thing where this is Kate Brown doing Speed and Prodigy, and then you've got McKelvey doing the main team, you know?
Yeah. No, I just love this because I think it's, you know, obviously at some point the story of these two is going to weave in with the rest of them, and I can't wait to see how that happens.
Yeah.
I've got to say about the opening of this, the first 4 pages of this comic, right? The first 4 pages is 4 6-panel pages, which are nothing but Prodigy answering the phone. And, you know, if I said that to you, right, that's it, it's 4 pages of somebody answering the phone. But yeah, it's brilliant. It's so well done. And Kate Brown really manages to get across sort of how bored Prodigy is working.
Bored and then frustrated.
Yeah. He's just bored, you know, his intelligence is far above and beyond this, what he's doing. And she just gets this across so well. It's brilliant. It's really, really good. And I have to say, special mention to friend of the show, Juan, who pointed out that Speed is basically you, Bertie.
I was there when he said this. I was there.
It actually is you.
Wow.
Like, just...
I'm going to take it as a compliment.
It is a compliment, but, you know, a bit cocky, you know, cool, and, you know, it's just you.
Really fast. I'm really fast. You see me run.
When this was pointed out to me and I read it again, I was like, yeah, no, it does seem like Bertie.
As I said, I can't see it because I can't see myself.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Okay. I think the other thing I said was a bit of ADD, bit of like attention deficit disorder, where it's just sort of like everything's so fast, moving on to the next thing, and, you know, sort of attention span of a gnat.
That is actually quite true. Oh God.
But yeah, and I mean, we have to say something about the end, what happens at the end of this comic.
Yeah, really strange mystery. The place they work gets broken into by someone dressed as Patriot from the original Young Avengers team, and when confronted, he seems a bit zombie-like, but it's already confirmed that this isn't Elijah Bradley. By the sounds of things, he's been in bed for a while, but then I did think, he says he's been in bed for a while, and this person looks like they're sleepwalking. So I'm thinking maybe possessed Elijah Bradley, and then something happens, Speed tries to run away, can't run, gets grabbed on the shoulder, this really cool effect, energy effect, like cracks out of like a scratch almost, scratches out of his hand, and Speed's gone. And I don't understand why this Patriot then is trying to give the glove to Prodigy. I don't understand that bit.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. But then he disappears in a weird electric smoke. And it was so strange. It was really strange. The book was going into this like sort of comedy direction and then shifted to this strange mystery.
Yeah, something quite dark. And this, you know, really fantastic cliffhanger. Like a really, really good cliffhanger. I always think if you end a book on a cliffhanger like that and you're so desperate to find out what happens next, then you've done a good job.
Yeah. And,
you know, Kieran Gillen has definitely done a good job. I think after everybody had read this issue, everybody I know who had read this issue was saying the same thing, was like, what the hell happened? And when am I going to find out?
I don't think we're going to be finding out next month.
No, but that's...
If you look at the next issue, it's nowhere near what was going on. Which in itself is a big jump, because this book so far has been very like one after the other, like story. It's followed the story. Now it's doing this thing where it seems like it's jump into these guys and we're not going to find out what happened to these guys until later. But as you said, we'll probably weave into the main team.
Yeah. I think it definitely will. But, you know, and Kate Brown is at AutoJoy on Twitter, if you'd like to follow her.
Definitely follow her. Really, really good artist. I really want to see more from her. No matter, I don't know what I want to see her on. More of this, more of another book. Just want to see more of her art.
Yeah, I'd be very happy with the series with her and McKelvey on this series. You know, I hope she does do more. She's like you said, it's just her art is her own, but it's definitely in the same sort of like ballpark as McKelvey's, which is what makes it then such a good fit for the series.
I just realised I saw a panel where the man dressed as Patriot has no hand. It's a ghost inside a costume. Anyway, that was weird. Right, okay, so sorry, Fee.
No,
Fee,
that's okay.
So again, read this. Carry on reading this, or pick it up. It's only what issue is this? Jesus, seven. Six. Only 6 issues in, so you can either wait a little while and the trade will be out, or get the issues. I recommend getting the issues. Yeah. So you can get the full effect of those double page spreads and just the beautifulness of it. And that is it. I do believe that brings us to the conclusion of this week. Fee.
Yep.
We're skipping the mystery comics because we've been abandoned. We're skipping the questions because we've been abandoned. And we've had a really lovely talk about all this awesome stuff. It's been a really good week.
Yeah, it's been an amazing week, as I said. But best week, you know, there's still other things that we didn't even get the chance to talk about. Other things out this week. FF, Daredevil, Lazarus, Jupiter's Legacy, The Wake issue came out. You know,
A1's Carpe Diem, really bloody fun. There's a koala dressed as Sergeant Pepper thingy, and his name is Jude. And when they call him, they say, "Hey Jude." It's so good. There's so much this week, so much, as Fee says. And it's been a good week, and I really hope next week feels like as good.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at
it'll be hard to try and top this week, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's been so good, but
before we finally go, I was thinking, is this going to be that, are we always going to have that 1 week a month where there's just nothing but good books, or will they slowly start filtering out and start spreading out throughout the month? So we're not all depressed for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But, so it's just Comixology, Comic Store, whatever you want, go have a look, go through all the books that come out, anything, even Suicide Squad issue 2 was really good as well, but I've got to stop sidetracking because we've got to wrap up. Just good week. Sorry, my mind's gone everywhere. So we're going to close off. I've been Bertie Kempson, and I do believe you've been Fee.
I have.
I'm just confirming this. And you've been listening to BAMF Comic Book Radio. Again, right, we love you all. So check us out on iTunes, where you can listen and subscribe. Go to wearearcade.com, where you can look at us. You can look at Anime UK, Arcade Radio, the goddamn Comic Cast, and you can even see articles that we're writing, and we're actually putting our brain to words and trying to make sense of ourselves. Talk about us. Tell your friends. You are our marketing department, okay? We have no money for marketing, so we're hiring you. Yeah. Tell everyone. Spread the word. We're here for you guys. You guys are here for us. And it's a, circle of life. So yes, I'm going to wrap up and say goodbye. Oh, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. We're really good. And I love you loads. Bye.
www.wearearcade.com